walked in your love like a hotel lobby. Took all of my pictures before the city forgot me. Love comes so easy and you've got so many friends. They throw parties in the ballroom of the hotel that you live in. If I could stay, things would never be the same.
Hey, welcome to a writing vlog. It is Monday morning and I have the entire week off. I am staring ahead at an entire week off of school and I am looking forward to it. I don't have any plans other than to write and take myself to the gym, and it's gonna be a good one. My goal this week is to basically write as much as possible during the day and kind of treat writing like my 9 to 5, and I think it's gonna be really good. I managed to write around 2,000 words yesterday, so we are picking up on the very next scene and we're gonna spend the entire week writing and see how much progress I get. So it's gonna be exciting, it's gonna be cozy, it's gonna be all of the things that you've come to expect. I'm still trying really hard to be present in my writing, so our reflection at the end of every single day will be listing a few things that worked really well and that I really enjoyed within the process of writing, because I'm really trying to focus more on the process as opposed to the end result. I'm going to keep saying that I really want to get through this draft. I'm going to keep saying that I really want to finish the first draft. I want to power through it and all of that. But when I say that, I literally mean I want to get it done. Because once the first draft is done, the story is there. The bare bones of the story is there and I can go and I can fix it. But I literally cannot fix it if it is not there. That is to say, I do want to get through this first draft. Of course I do. However, I still want to focus on the actual craft and process of writing and enjoy it more than I have been, because I feel like I can really take for granted how much fun I actually have when I sit down and write a story, and that's really going to be my focus this week. And so if you watched my previous writing vlog, which took place over this past weekend, I talked about the things that I'm trying to do to really practice being present in the process, and one of those things is reflecting at the end of every single day on up to 3 things that I really enjoyed in the actual crafting process of writing. And so that's going to be our focus this week. It's going to be on trying to be present in the actual work itself and picking things in the work that bring you joy, that bring me joy. So buckle up, get cozy, and let's get into it.
Look at my sock tan.
I'm gonna film this right here because I don't want to have to spend so long in editing, blurring out all of my little squares that I have. I have organized my plot on various cards and pinned them on my wall. And what I'm starting to do is I'm starting to keep track of what I've done with each of the scenes. I'm thinking I'm gonna color coordinate little tiny dots on the top, like right-hand corner of each card to indicate, does that make sense? I'm basically going to use colored dots to indicate where I'm at in the process of that scene, which is just a really fun way to like keep track of how far I've gotten into the story and where I'm at in the process. It's so fun when you finish your first draft to go through scene by scene and then check off each scene, which is really great. It also helps me to keep track of the overall plot and not lose sight of the important points that I want to make. So what I've done is I've gone through and I've put just a little tiny dot on the top corner of each card, and then I also added in an extra card because as of right now I just wrote an extra scene, which is fantastic. It's a scene that I've wanted to write for a while too. And it goes in between two scenes that I had to move around a little bit just to make sure that it fits. So good to go. I worked for an hour. So that's number one. Number two is I spent a full hour writing. I really like to focus in sprints. So for me today, I'm choosing to do hour-long sprints. So I just did a full hour of work and now I'm going to let myself take 10 minutes to just chill, scroll, walk around, do whatever, just kind of get the blood flowing a little bit, or else I go a little bit mental. Overall going well, finished a full scene, gonna start another scene. I'm so glad that I did this brainstorming because it just makes it so much easier to figure out what I have to write next. I'm not just sitting in a blank page trying to grasp at all of the various threads. I feel like writing down all of the scene ideas that I have and putting them in order just really helps every single day to be like, okay, what's next? What do I have to write next? I also took a picture of it and I put it in my Scrivener app so that when I'm writing away from home, I will always have access to it. Good stuff.
Look at you. Look at you, kitty cat. Look at you, kitty cat.
I see the way we're going, caught in another lonely night. Now I'm mad for no good reason. You should be right here by my side.
Hey, hi, hello, home now. And soaking wet because I took a shower. I got fixins to make these vegan crab cakes, which I had at a friend's place. He made them for me and oh my gosh, they were delicious. So I'm gonna make those for dinner. And I also accidentally bought fingerling potatoes. And I say accidentally because normally fingerling potatoes are so expensive and they were the same price as regular potatoes. And I ordered them online, like I got my groceries delivered, and it was a pleasant surprise because I absolutely love fingerling potatoes. Crispy on the outside, creamy on the inside. My favorite potato. Well, that's not true. I can't pick a favorite potato. I have so many potatoes that I love. I love all potatoes equally. I wanted to do a little mini book haul because I went to the library to pick up a book and then I picked up another book because I placed a hold on a cookbook and it came in and I'm really excited about it. I got New German Cooking by Jeremy and Jessica Nolan. This is a modern take on German cuisine, and I'm German, my mother is German, and I grew up eating a ton of German dishes and I loved them. I love them all so much, but I am now vegetarian and so it's really hard for me to make some of my old comforts. I'm really hoping that this book will be inspiring to me. One of the things that I really want to do in the fall is I want to start falling back in love with cooking. I love cooking and I've loved cooking for years now. It's honestly one of my favorite hobbies, but the passion has kind of sizzled out ever so slightly. And I think a lot of that had to do with how exhausted I was at work day after day, and coming home and the idea of spending an hour in the kitchen was like horrifying, when before that I wouldn't even think twice about spending an hour cooking dinner. I love cooking. Anyway, this is a long-winded way of saying a challenge for myself for the fall is to fall back in love with cooking a little bit more. And I've already started to. Making the vegan crab cakes tonight is an example of that, where I'm just picking recipes that inspire me to try new things, to try new ingredients, to try new cuisines, all of that fun jazz. And one of those things is getting back to my roots ever so slightly. And I make a lot of German dishes. I actually make schnitzel for Tom all the time, and I make rouladen, and I have made sauerbraten before. And all of those versions I've actually found some semi-decent vegetarian equivalents, which is really nice. So anyway, I'm gonna go through this cookbook and I'm gonna see what recipes there are that really inspire me. And I accidentally flipped open and there are vegetarian options in here. There are some vegetarian dishes, so that'll be really interesting. But even with the meat dishes, I want to challenge myself to find vegetarian substitutes or create a dish that's inspired by a recipe in this book but make it vegetarian. I'm actually not the best recipe follower. I use cookbooks and recipes mainly as inspiration. I'm pretty capable of just winging it and just using a recipe as like the basis for the dish. Anywho, that was really long. And then I was picking up that book because that was the book that I had the hold for. and I looked at their new releases, obviously, and I've just been feeling like so many of the books that I've read lately, other than War and Peace, have just been okay. Like, none of them have really sucked me in, and like, I don't know, I just think I'm in a little bit of a reading funk because it's the changing of the seasons, and I don't quite feel like reading fall books yet, but I also don't necessarily feel like reading super summery, floofy books. Anyway, I'm such an emotional reader that it's really hard when I can't label my emotions. So I went to the new releases section, picked up this book because it sounded amazing. This is Hungry Ghosts by Kevin Jared Hussein. This is a book that is set in the 1940s in Trinidad. It sounds like it's a historical fiction that involves two families and a chilling mystery. It says here, from an unforgettable new voice in Caribbean literature, a sweeping story of two families colliding in the 1940s Trinidad, and a chilling mystery that shows how interconnected their lives truly are. So it sounds a little bit like historical fiction. It also says that it's inspired by oral storytelling tradition, which is really fantastic. And it is a searing and singular novel of religion, class, family, and historical violence, which I think all of those things sound good, is what I was about to say, but then I realized it ended with historical violence. The book sounds amazing, is all I mean to say. It sounds really good, so I think I'm gonna pick that up tonight and give it a try and see how I feel about it. I hope it's gonna probably break my heart. Feels like the type of book I want to read right now. I just want to read like rich writing, rich description, gorgeous storytelling with like really, really potent characters that I feel like are my friends. I want new friends. Okay, I'm gonna curl up and I'm gonna flip through the new German cookbook, and then I'm gonna make dinner. Stand by for more content. Having fun isn't hard when you got a library card. Having fun isn't hard when you got a library card. Hey-o, I'm going to the library today. I'm not just going to any library. I'm going to this beautiful library in Toronto, pretty much in the downtown core, called the Reference Library. It's massive. I'm hoping that there's places for me to sit and write. We shall see. But I just kind of felt like getting out of the house and really forcing myself to focus. So super jazzed about that, but can we just take a moment, please? I just need to take a moment and talk about this book. I only made it to page 30 because I literally just kept reading lines over and over again because they're beautiful. I'm gonna make it to page 100 of this book, and if I'm still as enraptured by the writing as I was last night, I'm gonna buy it because there are so many lines, there are so many moments in this book already that I needed to annotate, and I'm not going to, obviously, because it's a library book. That would be sacrilegious. My religion is libraries, and the books are my Bibles. These barracks were scattered like half-buried bones across the plains, strewn from their colonial corpse. In their marrow, the ghosts of the indentured, and the offspring of these ghosts. This particular barrack sat by its lonesome, raw and jagged as a yanked tooth in the pear-grass-spangled stretch of meadow, beyond the cane field, beyond the rice paddies, the village proper and the sugar mill, in a corner where God had to squint to see. Neighbor to nothing. And like there's just other lines where it's like Trinidad has been killed and now it has to be resurrected. There is another line where he's talking about a character is experiencing fear, and he says, a strange feeling budded in her, a humming in the flesh, like 1,000 cicadas were trilling inside her bones. Oh. There is usually a moment at the betokening of horror where one simultaneously accepts and rejects it, where two worlds blend into one, the gradient of the shadow where light and dark meet, where time slows and hope cowers, a closing slit in the promise of pessimism, where a long sick child on a bed has croaked and wheezed himself to sleep, or something deeper than sleep. The long silence that follows. That silence came from Marley, and in that silence was the promise of coming darkness. Ooh, boy. I'm loving the writing. To say the very least, I'm loving the writing of this. I am really worried because it has the promise of being a really dark read that is going to be quite painful. Animals have already died. That is really hard for me, but it also is a testament to how wonderful the writing is that I want to keep going despite the pain. So let's go write. let's just go right. Let's start the day. That sounds good. Also, really quickly, I'm very proud of myself because I figured out how to tie this wrap dress. No idea if I did it properly, and by dress, I mean skirt. But we're feeling good. This is the library outfit of the day. It's really, really light, which is super nice because it is hot in the sun and cold in the shade. And then I'm probably gonna wear a sweater over top because that's my jam. I look like crap, but I don't care because I have a question for the internet. Does the full moon mess with your sleep as well? It messes with my sleep like every 2 or 3 months, and it's like clockwork where I didn't even realize last night was a full moon until it was 2:30 in the morning and I was wide awake and I was sitting out here and I was watching YouTube because I had gone to bed at 9 and just laid around tossing and turning until midnight. And I realized that it was a full moon. And I'm so tired. I don't think I'm going to get any writing done today. I think today is going to be editing the video that's going to go live this week because I just don't think I can form words. I got a haircut. I got a haircut early this morning. It's that weird, like, post-salon style. I've had this haircut before. I really did like it before, but I just feel like it always looks really weird when someone else styles my hair because I never style my hair, so styled hair looks weird. Anyway, calling attention to it. Yesterday was a blip. It was a little bit of a blip. We had a rough day here in this apartment, and that's okay because today we are picking ourselves back up and we are starting anew. It is a new day. I did not do any writing yesterday, and that is totally fine. It needed to not happen yesterday, so I let myself not write. I did, however, edit the video that is going live this week, so I did that all day. We cleaned the apartment. We did like a massive deep clean. So this apartment is sparkling and that feels wonderful. Went to bed super early, had a nourishing meal, all of these things. I basically spent the night laying in bed with my cat and watching YouTube until I went to bed. And that's what needed to happen. Sometimes those days just sneak up on you, and I don't like to force myself to be productive when I'm not feeling it, because there are plenty times in my life when I need to force myself to be productive. Anywho, it's Thursday. I have a dentist appointment later this afternoon, so I'm going to spend the next couple of hours trying to focus and getting some words down on the page. Let's do it. Well, that was a complete fail, but that's okay. I don't really know why at the beginning of this video I thought I would have full days of writing. I feel like I always forget that I also edit videos and have a life and all of that. So I really do think going forward, my Wednesdays and Thursdays will probably not be writing days anyway, just by how my school schedule is worked out. Also the fact that I edit a video once a week as well, I feel like those will probably be my editing days. So I'm not that upset. I'm really not that upset about it because at the end of the day, I am not a machine. I am a person. I'm gonna take the L of today and yesterday, and tomorrow will be so much better. I am dedicating the entire day to writing. I'm actually going back to the reference library, and this time I'm meeting a friend there, so we are gonna write together. It is a little disheartening to stare at the blank page and not have words down, but it's all good. Some days you just can't do the things and you just have to accept it. So we're doing just that. We're gonna have a relaxing rest of the day. I gotta go to the dentist like now. I really have to leave. And then I get to go to Whole Foods. So I'm gonna see what kind of like vegan, vegetarian options they have because the Whole Foods is right across the street from my dentist. And that's my treat for going to the dentist, is going to Whole Foods. And then we're gonna have the rest of the evening to just cozy on up and read. Good morning, good morning. We are doing much better today. The hair is looking better curly than it was straight. And I'm about to go to the library to meet my friend Rachel, who is a fellow writer, to write for a few hours. And then I'm gonna take a long weekend and it's gonna be wonderful. And I'm just gonna take a breather and I'm gonna read, and I'm really looking forward to it. I really do feel like I need to take a pause before school starts again, and that's exactly what I'm gonna do this weekend. I'm probably gonna end up reading all weekend. Yesterday when I sat down to write, I looked at the scene that I was gonna write, and I'm actually really excited to write it. It's a scene where my main character is interacting with other people, and I think last night I was laying in bed and I realized that I haven't actually updated all of the things that have been going well with writing this week. I think I got lost in the last 2 days of not being productive, not feeling like I want to write, and I lost sight of the good because there was a lot of good. The day that I went to the library, I not only got to write at this beautiful library that I get to return to again today, and it had warm lighting, which is such a specific thing, but warm lighting in public places is just like the cherry on top of a sundae. I love it. It makes it so much easier to focus for me, and it's a very welcoming environment. So that was fantastic. I also got myself a fancy coffee at the coffee shop that's located in the library, and it tasted amazing. And with writing, while that day I struggled a little bit, I feel like the beginning of this week I had such high hopes, and the middle of the week they kind of crashed down a little bit. But when I was writing at that beautiful library, the actual writing was a little bit of a struggle. But right towards the end, I had an epiphany, a great idea, and something that is going to propel me the rest of the story, which is fantastic. It's something that I've been thinking about that I really needed to nail down, and I frankly just stumbled upon it, and it's so fantastic, and it was such a high, such a good feeling, and it was definitely a win. So there were still positives this week, and there's still going to be positives this week. I don't know why I'm talking about it like I'm not going to write throughout today and the weekend. So overall, writing is a series of ups and downs, is it not? I would be wrong to show you constantly being productive and constantly feeling like I'm excited and jazzed, and frankly even that I can write. I think it would be dishonest if I didn't show you that on this week that I started off thinking I would write all day every day, I ended up only writing 2 days and then took 2 days off. But c'est la vie, that is life, and that's the way the cookie crumbles, and I'm still proud of myself. And there were still positives. So that's the fundamental lesson here. And speaking of positives, I finished Hungry Ghosts yesterday, and wow. Okay, so first and foremost, I want to say as a declarative statement that I feel like writers should write the story that they want to tell. By that, I mean writers don't owe us happiness. They don't owe us hope. And they don't owe us silver lining in a story. Especially writers of color, I feel like there's so much said about the types of stories that we accept from marginalized communities in this society. And while it's incredibly important to read stories that are filled with joy and normalcy, I also don't think that it's correct to dictate, especially a writer of color, what they should write. They should write the story that they want to write. So I'm going to say that because blanket statement, that is what I believe. This book was devastating, and there was very little hope, if not any hope in it. And it was bleak and painful to read, but the writing was so gorgeous, and the descriptions were vivid, and the characters were fully fleshed out, that it made it all the more painful when you read this story. I think that this story was worth it for me because of the delicious writing that was throughout these pages. I don't know that other people would think that. However, I thought it was phenomenal, and I'm so glad that I read it. It was refreshing to read a story where characters were in a very bleak and terrible situation, and they acknowledged it. Got me thinking, and I chewed on it for a long time, especially at the beginning, where I feel like so often in stories like this that are set in situations like this, there's always a character that offers a glimpse of hope. And I do think that arguably there was that in this book, but it just wasn't as intense as it maybe is in other stories. I'm trying not to spoil anything, which is why I'm speaking very vaguely, but I just think that it was interesting to read a story where there were characters that were like, this is a terrible situation and I am miserable and there has to be a way out. There's got to be a way out. We need out of this scenario. There was a lot of desperation in these pages, and I think that the fact that people think that this book is bleak is very obviously is because it is, but I also think it is a testament to the power of this writing and the way that this story unfolded. So definitely a phenomenal read. I'm very glad that I picked it up, but it's a heartbreaker, and it offers very little in the way of hope and satisfaction. And I'm okay with that because the writing was just so beautiful, and I don't think I've ever read anything quite like it. So very happy with it. definitely a plus and a highlight of this week. I read pretty much 3/4 of it yesterday and I couldn't put it down. So I'm very grateful for that, but now I need to go and write. I need to write the scene that I'm excited for, and I need to finish this week strong. I don't need to. It's fine if it doesn't go well and all of that. It's all true, okay? I feel like I always constantly am in this cycle of putting pressure on myself and then taking the pressure off. And it's just like a never-ending cycle, and I don't think that there's ever going to be a balance beyond that, and that's fine. When people talk about balance, I think other people mistake it for everything being perfect, when in fact, balance is a verb, to balance something, and I feel like it just means constantly weighing the scales side to side between productivity and rest, and you're never gonna get it perfect. I mean, maybe once in a while you will, but it is the act of balance that is important. Now I'm just talking, now I'm just ranting, and it's incoherent at this point, and I think it is time to get to writing. So let's pack up and let's go to the library.
Hey, buddy.
Holy crap. Holy crap. Are you guys ready for this? I don't actually know if you are. Today, I wrote 3,240 words. I don't even know where that came from because I just wrote them. I'm so happy. I'm so happy because not only it's not about, you know, if you've watched previous videos, if not, just a little PSA. It is not about the amount of words that you write in a session. It is about how the session feels. And I'm so happy to celebrate that milestone of the most words written in a single day on this project so far. But I'm equally very, very happy to report that it just felt great. There was no struggle in terms of hating what I was putting down. I feel like I got some solid moments and some solid scenes in today, and I progressed the plot. I was able to see things in my mind as I was typing them. It just didn't feel like a struggle, and that came out of absolutely nowhere. I did not expect to end this on such a high. I was expecting to just come back and say, you win some, you lose some, and this week was definitely going in the direction of losing, and I'm just so happy that it went well, and I'm proud of myself for powering through. And I think the thing that I'm the most proud of is that I wasn't too down on myself. I've learned a lot over the past few years to just not hang absolutely everything on a writing session going well, if that makes sense. When you're creating art, it's really hard when you've had a rough day to not make the rest of the day suck. I think that's true with everything. I think it's like having a bad day at work. It's really, really hard not to let things get to you. And with writing specifically, I've practiced and tried really hard not to hang my entire day on how well my writing has gone that day. This day was a great day because I went to the library, which I love that library. It's such a great library to write at. I got to meet up with a friend who is a fellow writing friend, Rachel. She is writing a fantastic fantasy book. I've read some of it and I want more. I need more. So I'm really glad that she's still writing it because I want to read more. And on top of that, I feel like I got some really good moments down to play with in the future that just felt really great. And I advanced the plot, and that's really all I can ask for. So yes, it was a great day, but I try really hard not to then say, okay, well, obviously this day was fantastic because writing went well. This day was fantastic for a lot of other things. Hopefully that made sense. I just feel like it might seem like I'm hanging my entire emotional balance on how my writing is going. And while sometimes that's absolutely true, it's actually something I'm trying really hard not to do. And this week in particular, it did not go poorly because writing was bad. It was bad, and so therefore I couldn't write. But we're good now. Everything is good. I'm sorry I'm being vague, but it was just a rough little mental health patch, and we're good. We're over it, and we're on the other side, and I'm so ready for the weekend. And so I have still been doing my reflection of my positives at the end of a writing session, and I've kind of already alluded to them, but just really quickly. I loved writing in that library, and meeting up with Rachel was really, really great. We're gonna have more of a routine together where we meet up and we write together, and there's just nothing like writing with a fellow writer or working with someone right beside you. That just is so motivating to me. It's great to bounce ideas off of. It's great to just like feel like you're kind of in it together a little bit, even though you're both doing completely different things. Number 2, obviously the word count is fantastic. It is a record in this project specifically. It is the most words I've written in a day in a really long time, and that is such an amazing accomplishment, and I'm so proud of myself for just powering through. And then the third thing is the actual writing itself felt wonderful. I didn't feel like I immediately needed to throw everything away. I felt like I landed on some really great emotional moments and some themes that I want to explore. And most importantly, I advanced the plot, which is the key thing right now. That is the thing that I'm focusing on right now in this draft, is advancing the plot and not worrying so much about the emotion or the scares or anything like that. Just getting the plot on paper, and that's exactly what I did today, and it felt fantastic. Well, if you've made it this far, thank you so very much. I hope that you appreciated that this video ended on a high, because frankly, I also appreciated that. It was not planned, truly. It is a pleasant surprise, and I am taking it. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.